We've done this over and over and over. The issue there is persistence. The riverside is at equilibrium with our channel. So even if we clean it, we remove all of the silt, we remove all of the waste, the plastics that, as a result of our community activities, as we remove them, because of the level of the sea rise, because of the level of the river there, the covert is holding the water. So for any time it rains, the coverts get overwhelmed. You may ask, what is the solution? The solution there, we'll sign an agreement with the JICA, the Japanese government, will be redoing the road from the bridge all the way to Freeport. And as part of that, we'll review the design to be able to withhold and mitigate this issue. As it is now, the only solution we have is for continuous cleaning. And some of the activities that some of the buildings there are also pushing on the drainage way. We can't go and say we'll break all of them down, but we're hoping that this project that's supposed to start in September this year, hopefully the agreement will sign in September and we can start the activities in March of 2025, we'll be able to solve that problem. So for us at Ministry of Public Works, honorables, there's a serious concern to us that we're putting in place, and we look forward to budgetary support to assist us in making sure that we can get ourselves ready. We can get tools ready. We can get manpower ready. We can get boots ready. We can get, in fact, even we can identify the locations now because we know 30 communities in Montserrado. I can tell you those communities, we have them here, that are flood-prone communities. And we already know those actions to be taken on the side of the infrastructure ministry. So we're going to be submitting something for support, legislative support, in terms of handling this issue. If we wait for the flooding emergency to happen, of course, which attracts financing, we got the documents already ready for us to be able, in 24 hours, we can request financing from all development partners because we have the documents ready, because they want the president to announce national emergency before they can intervene. So we hope that we'll not get to that level. We hope that 60% of the 45,000 persons that are commonly affected are women and children and the disabled people. So we have to do something about this, and we're sure that we will tackle this. So the rest of my team member here, if we have questions later in terms of what our interventions are, we'll be available to provide those responses. Thank you.
Wonderful, Honorable Senators. Thank you for inviting us. It is a great opportunity to share with you and also get a perspective on the challenges we face with, especially the issue of flooding, which has become, in my mind, a kind of national emergency. But what are the causes of the issue? There are global causes, national causes, as well as city localized problems. First, the global problem is what the Commonwealth Minister talked about, global warming. What is happening is that globally, industrialized countries are burning a lot of fossil fuels, and the fossil fuels, they are depleting the ozone layer, the layer of the earth that prevent the sun rays from striking the earth very high. As that layer is being depleted, the sun is striking the earth very high, and the North Pole and the South Pole of the earth is blocked of ice. The ice is melting, increasing the wave of the ocean. That's why places like West Point is threatened by sea erosion right now. But what as additional impact of global warming is that conserve weather patterns or area weather for a very long time. floodplains will become dry and sandy. So a lot of people will take advantage of that during the dry season, especially December, January, and February. They will start to construct in the area because it's pretty dry. So comes July, June, July, August, September, those areas are immersed on the water. So sometimes it's really ignorance of people. During the dry season, we're constructing in a very perfectly dry area, but then comes the rainy season, the entire area is flooded underneath. So those are some of the local causes. We will continue to experience this, unfortunately, until there is a national plan as to how to tackle this issue going forward. But it's not anything that is rolling back, unfortunately. It's something that will continue on us as long as we continue our usual activities, especially at the global level. So it's a serious problem. Some of the local large problems is what my colleagues talk about, and they agree with him. A city that is overcrowded, a city that presents education opportunities, so that there is electricity here and there, so that job opportunities, and throughout the world, this city has received a lot of immigration, and as a result, the city is overpopulated. When the city is overpopulated, where do you expect people to go? People then start to construct. But why are they constructing their homes? They are constructing in the wetlands. Wetlands are a particular type of land that serves as sink, as option ground for water. And globally, wetlands are contributing over $43 trillion. And in Liberia, our wetland is capable of bringing to our economy almost $100 million per year in services that the wetland provide. They serve as breeding places for fish. Fish normally will not lay their egg in the water or put the water and wash them away. They have to move into the swamp and breed there. But it will filter all the areas so that they will not have fish to consume. Our water system will not have fish. The mangrove, again, is a major source of carbon absorption from the atmosphere. But because of population pressure, people are also building the particular building after the SKD Boulevard, we go to the other road there. Right in that place, there's a car wash over there. That particular structure, the building is built over there. Little rain are falling and the whole road gets flooded. So as of today, we are waiting the owner of that building to come and explain to us the things they've done. In terms of that constructing in that type of waterways and blocking the entire water, and so that the whole road will be flooded. So people continue to build in areas they're not supposed to build. Water has to find its way. So if I all build in a wetland, when it means the water will enter into my road. So something is really ignorance. So what are we doing about it at EPA? We've done quite a number of things. I'll get you through a few of those now. I'm sure we got a copy of this presentation, and I hope you have that. But we have been instituting a lot of staff orders. What staff orders is to stop somebody say this building don't continue. You know, you're building in the wrong direction. Our environmental inspectors, they are in the field. Sometimes people do obey, sometimes people don't obey. Those who are in disobedience, this is the point that we are calling on the Ministry of Justice, so that they follow their need, so that they get some prosecution. Because we are overwhelmed to go to a level of prosecution as well. Resources, legal department, we don't have all the sophistication at the EPA. But we impose also a number of fines on some companies as well. Companies that are violating in this way, first they will be issuing another press statement, or we build out companies around the country and bringing it to light. Because in Apple, in Riverside, in other areas, the companies are again destroying the wetland. They are going after that wood, don't care for anything. It's only the goal. Whether they will knock the forest down, whether they will mess the water, you will not have even place for them to wash clothes. You will not have it. Companies don't have time. They're just going after their goal. And so we are going after them. So even this week, I will be bringing some major announcement as to what we're doing with them. We have already agreed with the LRA that will impose the fine. If you just send the link to the LRA, they will be responsible to go after the fines. So we undertaking a number of community awareness as well, trying to educate people. We are trying to establish various community clubs, environmental clubs, so that they take matters into their own hands, and many more we are doing. But to really have a hands on the problem, like the minister said, we are now also asking the president to put a kind of moratorium as a medium, short and medium term on any type of construction in the wetland. So if that moratorium is pronounced, it will elevate the conversation about the wetland and people filling the wetland. And we can then go to be able to enforce the rule that governs wetland. Nobody is supposed to be in the wetland. As a matter of fact, wetland does not belong to any individual. Actually, it belongs to the state for the management on behalf of the people. So we are now in the process of asking the president to pronounce a moratorium. In the meantime, it would be good for us also, asking the president, to have interagency committee for this issue. Since we are EPA, we are dealing with wetland, of course that part of the problem, and the destruction thereof, the public work is dealing with infrastructure, the land authority is looking at land ownership, those who are claiming wetland to be theirs, but also the National Disaster Agency, when this falling situation takes place, what can we do about it? To have an interagency, along with the Monroe Resident Corporation, the PNV Resident Corporation, to have a team that we all can work together and we can be able to come back to you and say, so this is the problem, this is the solution, this is how much it costs. And then we all can brainstorm to be able to deal with that issue. So again, the details are in this including recommendation I presented to you, Honorable Senators, but again, we better appreciate you calling us here, but it is a serious problem. Until we all can get together as a country, it will be difficult. But the EPA also is a revenue generation for the government. So we pray that you will have the EPA as well. EPA raises revenue three kinds of ways. One, we raise international revenue to the government. But what we are doing now is for the money to come in a way that it will be accounted for properly. Just for instance, there is a global environment facility, is a funding source, global community. Another one is there are two or three. Right now, we are implementing almost $200 million project to be able to protect the West Point for erosion. We are doing also another project into Sinai as well. No money working with lands in mind, follow work to implement the project. But the problem, no money don't come to Liberia directly because like you say, you have to come to Conservation International or UNDP and the rest of it. We work as a strategy. We are now developing a plan that ties into the rest agenda. So end of the NGO, before you implement all of the project, you pick up an issue from the agenda for the National Development Plan and then we can work with that one source. Another one is fine. Companies that are individuals that are in violation, we find them and then promise fee. We raise some promise fee that help us to work at the as well. So we want to say thank you very much for inviting us. We'll have more to talk about here and here, assisted by my technical assistant, John Jala. John Jala was with EPA for a very long time. He's the manager of compliance. So thank you for question and answer. Some of the broader things I talk about in high some detail in terms of data will be able to help us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Fellow Montserrado and City of Chile, and the others, they are led up to tell us that we are already sending agents. We're ready to speak, but next time, she must let us, or otherwise,
Okay, thank you, Honorable Senator.
you will represent.
I'm going to make sure I convey the message. Like I said previously, my name is Councilor Kula L. Jackson. Though I am not a land use expert, but I am the Commissioner for Land Policy and Planning. At the Land Authority, there are key issues, especially when it comes to flooding. We at the Land Authority are worried because most of our company's major infrastructures are along the coastal belt. And what are we doing to protect those major infrastructures? The first thing I would like to appreciate the other previous speakers. We all are saying the same thing, but for us at the Land Authority, this moreover is overly populated. And most of our people not having land, rely on what you quote unquote call, or what you call the squatter rights permits. And so we are the land authority. I ensure that no squatter rights permits are issued. And I would just want to appeal to you, Honorable Senator, that in the next year, at least let the Peace City Corporation and the Royal City Corporation be here, because the issue of waste disposal in wetlands is a key issue that tends to block waterways, beachfront, and alleyways. So if they are here, they will also help us. But we are very key. One of the issues we have found out is that they all regulated and own coordinated activities among land use agencies. How do we coordinate it? For instance, if somebody is building, if there is an ESIA, an environmental social impact assessment conducted, is the EPA aware, is the land authority aware? If PMW, Public Works, is giving out permits for construction, is the land authority aware? Do we review those deeds to know as to whether or not those deeds are authentic? How do we do that? Also, another issue we also want to look at, what have we done? John tells you that there was a task force on waterways, beachfront, and alleyways coordinated, and we should meet at the police headquarters on the period of June, and I think we need to reinforce that. Because when we reinforce that, we have a coordinated effort to ensure that we tend to reduce what is going on. At the land authority, we are very keen. So what we have done, firstly, is to ensure that whatever deeds comes from wetlands, we should not have those deeds registered. And it's getting us serious problems. Because firstly, we don't have a complete inventory. We have not done a complete inventory. And more besides, the issue of an organized land use policy and regulations is difficult. Our zoning law, for example, back dates to 1958. Under the new dispensation, can that be applicable under this new dispensation, taking into consideration the densely populated Monrovia? We think that is not possible. So the land authority, in recent time, in 2022, we have come up with a new regulation on beachfront waterways and wetlands. How do we do that? It means that we all, as MAS, military agency and commission, should work together to ensure that what one institution is doing, the another institution is aware. They will have a coordinated effort. If we don't do that, then it brings about competition, competing interest among agencies of government. So we need to work on that. So I will not go further. These are the experts, and the experts, because they are land use masters, and they will be the ones to work on. I will just go what we can start.
So we'll leave that just for the discussion.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentations. Distinguished colleagues, I open the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank the different presenters from different ministries and agencies for the presentations. I'd like to start from where Councilor Kula ended. But then I'd like to say, all Protem Emeritus and Chairman of the Public Works Committee. The major problem we have here is that we don't have a plan as a country. And this is what is being highlighted here. We certainly don't have a plan. The country from time to time, to a large extent, is being governed on an ad hoc basis, which is not good for us. He talked about zoning law dating as far back as 1958. So what's stopped us from revising the plan? Since that time. And I'm quite sure some of the issues haven't been addressed over the years because we took the planning ministry and merged it under the Ministry of Finance. So we start planning. We start planning the development of this country. At the Ministry of Finance, what is on the front burner will be all financial issues. No plan. Counties, no plan for counties, no plan for communities, no plan for the country as a whole. So I think we need to review that going forward. Having said that, I'd like to also talk about the issue you raised about waste disposal. It's true that people are building in swamps, but some of the problems, as I have seen, in some communities, you see that community dwellers who will collect garbage and put it in the waterway. So the old spot, they are sitting there, the flood is affecting them, they are blocking the waterways, they themselves. I have a similar situation like that in Omika that I saw yesterday, where I had a problem. The community dwellers taking the garbages, dumping the garbages in the waterway, and the flood is coming back in the community. By themselves, they don't have the motivation to go and even open the waterway. They want the government to do that. So this is one of the problems. I don't know how do we enforce that, how do we correct that. And also the different city corporations. Where do they dump their garbages? The garbages will salt in the swamps, in the waterways. In fact, you don't have control. If you drive towards the University of American campus, you pass red somewhere along the road, you see a huge part of garbages all there. There's no control, no plan, no support, nothing is being done. So, but there are institutions that have responsibility. And I think for those of you who are charged with all of these other things, we have to live. I'd like to raise issue with somebody, I think it's the land authority or someone who said that you need to place a moratorium on EPA, right? EPA. Could you please repeat that? You said why you want a moratorium?
So what we wanted to advise the president to do, and we can also take advice from this honorable senator, is that to place a moratorium
the places at some point in time of the year they are not wetlands. As the Randy stated, some of the areas are complete dryland. At some point in time during the course of the year, complete dryland, just as he stated, they are not wetlands. And some of these places that polar record mentioned, they have squatter right permit given by government to people to squat. There are some of these places being sold by the government. So how do you place a moratorium on private property? How do you advise the president to do that? So I think you have to rethink that, or you have to discuss maybe with the folks at the Ministry of Justice. If government or Nigeria sold land, and in some of the areas that we are talking about several years back, those places were not went there at all. Even besides that, at some point in time, some of the places during the course of the year, they are completely dry land. So if you bought a complete dry land by the government, at some point in time in the year, it turns out it's a wetland. How then can you place a moratorium on private property? We talk about the dumping of debt in waterways. Okay, I'd like to come back to the problem was. I have noticed, Sico built the road towards Kakata. I don't know if it's Sico or Chico, who's one of them? Sico, right? Yeah. They erected a lot of drainages. And these drainages are not being maintained. I heard you, Mr. Tama, talk about Freeport, but I don't see people along the corridor, railway towards Kakata. Those drainages and our part of the road construction, they're not being maintained by all of us at all. Some are completely blocked. What has stopped you from maintaining drainages? Because I didn't hear you talk about maintaining drainages anywhere else except Freeport towards Freeport. And these are some of the issues that are creating the issue situation of law. The drainages are not being maintained by the Minister of Public Works. Besides that, in the different communities, in some of the communities where people erected properties, but they are waterways. They are still waterways, but they have been maintained. So what is the Public Works Ministry doing about that? Everybody talking about Morovia is overly populated or overpopulated. Yes, we quite agree. That's the situation we have. How do we correct it? Some of the areas, these situations can be corrected. They are waterways, they are drainages, but they have been maintained. The waterways are not being cleaned. So we have in some of the communities, these problems can be corrected, but no effort, no attempt. And that's why we have flawed situation in some of the communities. So, Honorable Minister, I think there's a need for you, but I know you have some money in your budget. I heard you talking about support. At this point in time, during the execution of the budget, the legislature, unless if there is a recast of the budget, or if there's a supplemental budget, that's the only time the legislature can get funding support. In the absence of that, you have to work with what you have to address some of these situations. But at this point in time, the legislature cannot give you money now, unless there's a supplemental budget or unless there's a recast. So, always gentlemen, thank you. I'd like to start here just in case if there's a need come up.
Thank you, Senator. Please react to.
Yeah. Real quick, firstly, at the mayor authority, we are working with the Tanzania Commission to ensure that we have an updated land use plan for Liberia. Because the lack of land use plan has created a serious problem for us. Because where you don't have a plan, there will be people building all over the places that you spoke about, waterways, beachfront, and alleyways. So if you have a regulated land use plan, it tells you where to build and how to build and what to build. But if you don't have the land use plan, you can build anywhere, anytime. So the land authority is working.
So let me just follow up on that. How do you intend to put that plan to use? You are working with the Tanzania government, right?
We are working with the Tanzania Commission, drawing some experts to help us. Now we are drafting a new land use policy. And we have already done that in the land authority.
The policy. So how do you execute that? But how do you create awareness?
Policy, we already started some work, and we're all talking around the table. It's all about funding, because that policy will now gravitate into a legislation, so that it can be able to help us. Because a legislation will be much more stronger than a policy. The policy informs whatever regulation.
What's the time frame you have for that?
But we have already completed it, and what we're on now, because what we did, we were working along with the Swedish land cadastre called Land Batteria. So Land Batteria were able to support us. And the project ended, but now we have worked along with them to draw up a new project. And hopefully it will be in time. It will be in time, anytime, maybe next month. So we still, there are another 3 years, so we're still trying to say, they're coming back for another 3 years.
But nobody going to do this.
No, they come back for to talk to the policy. So this is the step we are taking currently to ensure that we can be able to mitigate some of these issues.
Yes, so it comes to the moratorium. I just say that you are right. The analysis is right, but I think especially the rainy season, something can be done. It's about elevating our voices at the EPA. And if we can work around it and get a word, which I think we can do, for the president to make a pronouncement, then any enforcement will carry on the likelihood of compliance. Because the areas we put in the stop sign, people still go ahead, sometimes in doing it. So what's seriousness of it? And then to Kula point, which is good, the policy, everything is good, but we still have some laws on the book. We have to find means to start to enforce the existing laws and sometimes common sense issues. What I mean is that, like we said, Right now, there are other areas that we can make this city a bit applicable.
So,
But it is right.
So what the current laws, some of the common sense issues,
Yes.
you said we have to find a way to enforce the current laws and some of the common sense issues.
Yes.
What's stopping you from enforcing them now?
So for us, we are trying our best. I guess you one challenge in the way that we post stop orders, say don't carry on this, so that people take care of everyone.
So that is not enough. You just said that we have to find a way to enforce the law and other common sense issues.
Yes.
So what you're explaining here is that you are making an attempt to enforce the law, but the law not being enforced. So what stops you from enforcing the law?
Let me get my technical guy who is in the field to respond a bit.
Yes, so in terms of enforcement,
Go ahead.
yeah, so in terms of enforcement, of course, the EPA is, even though we try our best, we are challenged, especially logistically. Moreover, we believe that with support as well from the Liberian National Police, Ministry of Justice.
So what stops you from enforcing the law and common sense issues?
So in terms of, not that we're not enforcing, but the extent of the enforcement have been a bit limited. For instance, if you carry on, for example, a situation where somebody went and did a.
Okay, give me one specific incident where you enforce the law and common sense issue. And common sense.
So on SKD Boulevard, I remember, I want to just say the law. Let me just say the law. SKD Boulevard, I remember in 2019, the EPA instituted demolition activities. Of course, going through the code and all that, but you will see that even though that action was undertaken, but later on you see that even in 2024, how the scene very SKD was still being undermined by residents. So we think that with the issue of enforcement, once the EPA can have a level of support.
What support is that? What do you want?
Logistical support.
We talk about logistical support as well.
What is that? I don't understand.
Well, in terms of logistical support, for instance, EPA currently as a technical institution only have maybe one functional vehicle that takes care of technical related issues all across the country.
What's the budget annually?
EPA get swallow funds.
Don't mind.
Yes, we do.
You sure?
We do.
We don't collect money.
Yes, we do. Also.
We know how to do. We
So
know
let me,
how to collect.
yeah, I can go a little bit into detail of that. This year, our budget that's supposed to empower us to enforce about $8 million.
Government gave us $1.9 million, and we able to raise about 2. Still, is almost 50% of.
Why is the payroll? Why is the why is the payroll? Why is the payroll annually?
Our total payroll right now, in terms of that, the controller got full people in my head right now. I tell you. I agree. Definitely. No, I'm there. But, also the EPA, and then the few more I got there, and then court order and the rest of it. But, honestly, I can tell you, other than 1.9.
How many times have you signed payroll? Have you approved payroll? How many months have you approved payroll? How many months have you approved payroll?
I think maybe 3 months or so.
3 months.
See, you got the EPA.
Yeah, you know how much.
You know how much the payroll.
So $2 million.
I'm trying to come to you to that now. Let me collect and tell you a broader information. Yeah. Let me tell you a broader information.
Crying, we don't believe it. That's what we have to do.
So $2 million, will you purchase you?
One minute. Government gave us $1.9 million, right? That's the one you have put in the honor center for the EPA. 1.2 is going towards salary. All of that. Huh? 500,000 it went to support the coastal defense project I'm talking about. The government contribution. Government did a contribution, the contributor have. Huh? Then from there, what we're projecting is projection. We have some payroll inside house that will raise some money and pay other people within the EPA. And some goes towards program support.
Okay, so I'm coming out. Let me just come in there a little. So the government gave you 1.9 in the budget, right?
Exactly.
1.2 It's for salary for
Yes.
the whole year.
Yes.
500 for coastal defense force, 1.7 million.
Yes.
And you raised more than $2 million internally.
We are projecting this year, we'll raise about $2 million.
What was your performance last year?
The performance last year was around 1.7, 1.8.
1.8 million, not paying $2 million. So you raised $2 million internally. What did you do with that money?
The money is the one we have appropriated in the budget. In terms of program support, the EPA has 4 or 5 different departments. So the one that will actually go towards that, as we develop.
So you don't buy vehicles?
It's about program support is about $1.6 million.
Why is that? What do you call program support? It's too big.
Program support, in this case, the main one that the German have, the Department of Compliance, monitoring.
Right, you monitoring and you still have to building waterways. And you get vehicles. You know,
We
you
do have
just,
some.
no, but you just said that you don't even have vehicles.
He said one functional vehicle for.
Yeah. And you have $2 million internally as your revenue.
That's what we're projecting to it.
And you have 1.8 last year.
Yes.
Yeah, and still, you just buy vehicles.
But the problem is, if we really want everything we need to do, it costs $1 million.
No, not everything.
Okay, so you were talking about the man
Yeah, so just to,
you can't forget another day you bring money.
yeah, so to also expand on the issue of the wetland, I just like to say is that the wetland has different kinds.
Okay, so
Especially
you like
like
kinds of wetland.
yeah, so
Okay, excuse me. That,
Yes.
who owns wetland?
Well, this is where the coordination comes in. All the land rights out of 2018. There are 4 business categories. But there's one category which is protected areas that cross-cut along all of the various categories. So wetlands, most people come to say it's a recovery.
Okay, so let's talk about wetlands around Monroe and environs.
The wetlands around Monroe and environs, prior to coming into the Land Rights Act, prior to the passage of the Land Rights Act, individuals, individuals have already obtained deeds for the wetlands. So individuals, their laws are not retroactive
For the government.
for the government of Republic of Nigeria.
So the government sold the wetland.
Wetlands. So to
Yeah,
go
so
back,
the
to
middle
go
of
back,
the
to go back, because only the 1973 public land law, we have only 2 categories of land, which were private and public. It was government responsibility to sell public land to its citizens. And now that government has already sold those public land to the citizens, including the soil, you can go back. Because laws are not retroactive to go back on them, then there will be some issues. Other people come up with these
So
issues.
that when you said that it's going to encourage the president to issue regulations, to ban the construction on wetlands, was that your thought, the ownership, or because of flooding phenomenon?
I think it's both. Thank God the land authorities here and provided us with kind of information on the wetland. But pointedly, I asked the chairman the other day in the conversation, who owns wetland from the land right point of view. We're talking about it. I also wanted to get clarity around that. But I think both can work because if flooding is making our people impoverished more, and it get to a point that government needs to step in, government can step in. So even from the emergency point of view, how the green is coming and the impact that people are feeling, I think with your advice, in my mind, I think that can be done.
So consultation is not what together so you do it properly. So the president can be ill advised and you put that mission, but you know that will backfire. I agree to do it properly.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, we want to know the presentation. Let's go to the presentation.
Third way, you finished?
No, if not, I don't
I
want
can respond to it.
Okay, so, Senator, you know, the zoning law of 1958. We're currently going through a procurement process.
They say it's obsolete. Is that what they are saying?
Yeah, we're currently going through
Do we
a
agree?
procurement process to have it revised. So we're hiring a consulting firm to review it and come up with something that's more informative.
So let me start the zoning law. Why do it is obsolete?
Well,
But you agree that it's obsolete.
no, Senator. I said we're going to revise it.
Okay, so what are the
So
issues
who
with
says
it?
it's absolute? Let him respond.
Okay, no. So what are the issues with it? When you say you're revising it, so once you agree to revise it, will be there issues?
Well, for us, with the passage of time alone, from 1958 to today, the fact that the city was designed in terms of the urban space for 400 to 500,000 persons. Today, we're more than a million. So from 1958, even without any issues, it just makes sense. It's a common sense that we'll be able to revise it. So apart from that,
No, you can't revise something that doesn't have a problem.
no, there is a problem.
So let us identify the problem and tell us why the problem.
For us, that's a occupancy problem. Okay, in terms of how we lay out the city on the urban development side, we think there's a problem because Senator, we see buildings are going up and people, build these stores and build this high-rise building without providing any space for parking, without providing any space where you have accepting where you have alleys and have disposal. So all of these things have to be captured into the zoning law. So if you're building any structure that is more than 3-story building, we have a criteria for how many parking spaces you have to provide. So we have to do that. So all of these things. Senator, from 2020 to 2024, we permitted 450 drawings. But I can tell you, there are more than 5,000 buildings that are being constructed. Enforcement is lacking.
So it's not a law.
Enforcement is lacking. And of course, like every other institution, we are also challenged with logistical matters. We know, Senator Nuko, we asked why. Yeah, so why we're not enforcing our regulation? Yes, we're doing the best. For us, it's not only in Montserrado, it's across the country. Okay. Just 450 were permitted, but more than 5,000 buildings going up.
So
And some of these buildings are being encroached on the alleyways and encroached on the mangrove areas and filling up this mangrove area, the wetland, that we did not permit. Okay, so we think there has to be a coordinated effort to make sure that the land authority, the EPA, and ourselves, that we're not even aware of the land use master plan that is being worked on as the Ministry of Public Works. We're not aware of this. So we think there has to be a coordinated effort to make sure that we all can work together. In terms of permitting, I think the law states that we work along, yes, we work along the land authority to make sure we permit buildings and other things. But the enforcement part of it is what is lacking at the moment. And this new law, this new revision of the zoning law, will be able to incorporate all of these aspects and make sure that we don't cross what the land authority is doing. It's nothing from what we're doing in terms of enforcement.
Okay, Mr. I don't want to waste more. You're the technician for zoning, right?
Yes, sir.
So break us through the zoning regulations and law. The public is listening, but I believe the public are educated on all these things we're talking about. Few minutes.
All right.
Construct and all these things.
So the zoning law was enacted by the 1957-1958 legislature. So in the law, it clearly emphasized that the law was not a standalone. It should have been accommodated with a zoning map for the city of Monrovia. However, after the war, there is no record of the zoning map. So that
zoning map?
There is no record.
What is the zoning map?
So the zoning map is a land use map that shows different land uses. For example, yes, similarly. So for example, Singa was laid out as a residential area, And Central Monrovia was laid out as both residential and commercial area. If you go out to the Crucial Island, some portions were laid out as industrial areas. So the zoning law had the zoning map in the form of a land use map that accommodated the implementation of the map. But then, after the war, there was no trace of the zoning map at all. So that in itself renders the zoning laws to be obsolete before we get into the nitty-gritty of the law itself. And additionally, this issue of mixed-use zoning, where commercial and residential mixed together, some like industrial areas, our city is fast growing. Initially, the city was designed for around 400,000 to 500,000 people. Today, we have over 1.5 million people in Monrovia. So that can tell you that there have been a lot of pressure already put on the infrastructure design at the time. So as a result, most of these things will lead to flooding or infrastructure fatigue. And we can see most of the results when it rains in these days. In addition to that, also, my boss also mentioned the issue of parking facility for certain kind of structures. The new zoning law that we intend to work along with the other ministry agency, we try to accommodate for such things, which is not in the old zoning law. Because today we see one building single will be around 10 stories, and therefore there's no parking, no outdoor parking facility. You'll see a lot of occupants will start to use the main streets for parking. And then there is specific emphasis on the work that we do at the Ministry of Public Works. Because the reason why we encourage the public to bring their drawings for permitting is to see whether the land that they have is adequate enough for the proposed facility. For example, in the last 4 years, we have permitted on just 5 drawings in the Omega community.
So what are the procedures for that process?
Okay, so the procedure is take 15 days, holding all further constant. So you submit your drawings at the Ministry of Public Works.
Every building?
Every building, any building more than 3 square feet. So it's in the law. So before you build, and here we can, if you delve down deep, you see that majority of the people in the room might not have, maybe know about the procedure or go on the Ministry of Public Works to go through the procedure. So you submit your drawings, we review them, and then we have a list of work materials that will guide you in your submission. So after you submit the drawings, we review them, and then when we meet all of the required materials, we issue the permit. So we have our team who go through in the field to do measurements to make sure that the size of the land actually represents the design you want, and then based on that, we issue your permit. But I was making a specific emphasis on Omega, for example. In the last 4 years, we have only permitted around 5 drawings in Omega. So almost all of the constructions there have now gone to the Ministry of Public Works. That can tell you that a lot of people do now go through the process of bringing our drawings for permitting. So as a result, whether they are constructing in one land or filling one land, it comes back to be a problem. We start to problem in our communities.
Does the law have you have penetrated the law?
Yes, we have penetrated the law and we have people.
Are you enforcing it?
We are enforcing it for the minimum rate because of the issue of logistics also. And then additionally, the environmental and protection law of Liberia, whether the land is privately owned or publicly owned, the law provides that before anybody uses their land for construction, you should go at the EPA so that they can certify your project.
EPA?
Yes, whether the land is for you or it's for government, before you do any work in the wetland.
EPA for what? So EPA?
They work together, yes, definitely for wetland. I'm just making emphasis on the wetland.
What will you do? What EPA will do? EPA, what will you do?
They don't work together, they do it separately.
So I think the journalist is right. EPA will regulate so that every development project conform with the environmental laws of Liberia across all. Whether you're building a structure, whether you're mining, anything for that matter, you're supposed to come for a permit, and that permit will specify how you do that work, so there are certain benchmarks.
All projects? All construction,
All.
you go to EPA, when they go to public work.
Wetland.
You know, we're talking
wetland.
about wetland.
All major construction work. Like you
Or
want to
wetland, or everywhere.
Yeah, so any project that have the skill, any project that have the skill of impacting the environment requires an environmental and social impact assessment license. It's not only a wetland. I'd like to just stress something very key to the wetland issue. The reason why a project that is being constructed, for example, maybe likely in a floodplain, will require environmental and social impact assessment is that what happens is that you will have to do a what we call a flood peak analysis studies. For example, within a 100-year period, what would be the peak flood situation within a 100-year period? And on that basis, you are able to design a drainage. So, take for instance, if somebody was trying to construct a project, take for instance, within a floodplain that would have been approved, if they were to take that measure into consideration, it will inform what kind of drainage will be constructed. Then that study report we can now share with public works who will not guide the entire process. So, in most cases, we work hand in hand. That's why he continued to mention the issue of wetland.
Even for medical facilities.
Right? Then get my
Go to public, go to EPA.
No, I mean, basically, the same wetland issue, I'm concerned that it will be difficult to reverse some of the things that already happened. But what action can you take now to prevent some of the things from happening? That we got to discuss. Because some of the issues, some of the buildings that are already been built, I don't think you want to destroy them. Let's take, for instance, Woodrow Island. Woodrow Island you made reference to. And you're talking about 100,000 people in the next 6 months. I'm concerned about what's going to happen in the next 6 months. Where you want to move these people? You told me you got to move some people from Woodrow Island because you're doing a presentation talking about moving people, 100,000 people going to be affected in the next 6 months. I want to know how you want to move those people, and where you want to move them, and how you want to take care of them.
Senator, I was given a situation analysis on the flood-prone areas of our city, of Montserrado. We have 30 communities that may be affected by heavy rains. So, and it's estimated that about more than 100,000 persons will be affected across the country. We already, at this point, already for 1 month into the heavy rains, we have 45,000 persons already been affected. So we're projecting about 100,000 persons will be affected.
Wow, we don't have 1,000 people. Government taking no action on it. What is it?
Well, the National Disaster Management Agency, they're working with them. They are the agency that are responsible and working with them. For us, what we're doing is clearing sites. If they say, look, we need a temporary shelter here, we'll go and clear the site, we'll level it, and then L-C will provide the buildings for temporary structure. There's most of the areas, the people will stay there for 1 or 2 days.
When that will start?
No, it's already ongoing. It's already ongoing. They cater to that.
But you know where you're right? Do you know where
most of them is more in Montserrado, and some of them is not only for flood, but it's wind. Some of them, the wind come and just blow their roof out, and they have to find shelter for them. So, in most of this, the turnaround is sometimes 2-3 days. They stay at that withholding shelter, and then they go back to their house. Once the flood goes down, or once they do their roof. But this is basically with the National Disaster Management Agency. For us, we only provide the location, we smooth in the place for them, and they come and do that temporary structure.
Another question I want to raise is the issue of Woodrow Island, the construction, the issue of the movement. Historically, when you go with the Japan Highway, you saw the length of time it took to build out, and you saw the level of traffic congestion created. And you know Woodrow Island is a one-way in, one-way out. Don't you think that would be a serious problem doing the construction next year?
Of course, we're thinking about alternative solutions to make sure that we can have a ease of traffic. But there will be some disturbances, actually. But we now in discussion of the design work is ongoing. Major part of the design, 25% of the cost of the design will have to be on drainage system. This will inform them because this is an ongoing situation that we have. The current design, as it is, that is a pump at Freeport that is not working. And the people that did this road long ago, they knew that this problem was going to happen. So they put a pump to Freeport to pump the water out. But the pump not working. It's not pumping the water out. So that's how it was designed. Senator, I'm sorry, we're not investigating that. Because we have a new project coming on board, we don't think it will be cost efficient for us to fix the pump when a new project coming on board that eliminates the pump to provide a larger catchment area where we can hold the water instead of having to pump the water out. So we have not investigated that.
So we are aware that Blue Island with the drainage problem is a major issue, and the flooding can be very tough, especially between the Freeport area and Rotterdam. Is it going to affect majority of the people who already have buildings in the area?
Yes, so
are you going to draw more properties to make sure you prevent the flooding in that area?
So our resettlement action team was deployed there, and they came up with a budget more than $1 million for us to. In fact, this is a minimum budget. We have major businesses that are along the drainage way to take the water off of the road. We can't say we're going to destroy those buildings because it will be too much money for government to do that. So what we're going to do as part of the design is to provide a huge holding area for the water, and then we can get it out, dissipate that water gradually out. And the design will accommodate that. So we're trying to reduce as much demolition as possible. Okay? Because as we do that, we're affecting the life of people, we're affecting businesses, and we're affecting the life of people. So we want to minimize that and incorporate that into the design cost by creating this huge drainage system that will be able to accommodate the current amount of water. In fact, looking at 50 to 100 year flood period. So that's what we're doing. But in terms of construction itself, during the construction is supposed to last for 18 months, starting from March 2025. There will be some disturbances, but we're going to make sure that traffic flows while the construction is going on. Using a stage construction, we'll do one side first, and then later we'll go on the other side.
But you are really going to on the floor, on the wetland issue, I'm concerned about the area. SKD Boulevard. You know the mangrove area, that whole area is a mangrove area. Both towards Police Academy and the other side towards Power. Yes. That whole area. And both the Land Commission and Public Works and TP, I don't know what's up government. I don't know whether anybody there government is united for that area. And the second area I'm concerned about, you know, they build the road towards RIA. The majority of the area of RIA is a wetland. It's a macro area going, and you see a lot of people get properties now with I call it cornerstone all. And nobody will fool you because that whole area is a wetland. But that reason is that you can see the whole place in that river flowing out. What are you doing to prevent people? And it's a future development. I said that you're not doing that. Because you're well, say, put that doing it, they're complaining. What are you doing to prevent? Maybe the government can start for you. And we have government getting into people. You know, the area 75, the land, wetland belong to government.
Let me just come in with a last question. I think this is where coordination comes in. Now, for instance, if somebody wants to get a building permit from public works, they carry a title deed to public works. Have the land authority seen that? Have they authenticated that? So once we have a coordinated effort, because I can tell you for free, because I've been with the land commission, even in tax code and authority, what of those deeds that come from women are quote unquote purported deeds that have any trace to the public. So it would be better that whenever those deeds come in terms of obtaining ESR permit, for example, or building permit, if those deeds are shared with the land authority, how do we look at them to see whether they are authentic or whether they are traceable to the state, which have to be one of the bureau. Once we can work together as a team, I think we can mitigate most of those issues of people coming only way to do it. Because that is already a signature in the Ramsar Convention. So I think it's something that we do.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dan. After you come back.
Yes, I just wanted to touch on my question a little bit. Like you said, the first thing I want to touch on is going forward, what to do. For us, I think those areas you mentioned, especially the police academy, that area, myself, I just moved there yesterday. It was there, the situation there myself. We're going to carry billboards to pull people not to do anything there. But there are some structures we will have to break it down. We need some deterrents because sometimes without it, people continue to violate. But before we can carry on demolition, we'll do a little bit of investigation to see the status of that property. But clearly, going forward, we'll carry on some strategic demolition so as to serve a deterrent to the public that you can't do this, as to put billboards and say, don't do this here. That's something we'll do. That coordination the councillor talked about is important. So that is why it will be necessary. A group came to the office and they said they were building systems for the LRA. They came to ICE. And part of our way forward is we now have some sort of informal agreement with LRA boss, Mr. Jala, that when we impose fine, we just send the list to him. Because sometimes we impose fines, they don't pay. And we have less capability or rigorously going to collect money. So when you impose a fine, bring the list up to us, then we will collect the money. We will collect. No, I mean, we have to say what our shortcomings are, what our weaknesses. We are honest here. Honorable Senator, I know you know, but limited environmental inspectors, our legal department is very small, only one person there right now. So it's difficult for us to do some of these things, but we're talking about way forward. I told them the system you're building, make sure it integrates so EPA is there so that if we impose fine, we send it to them. If they're collecting, we can see it from our end. So that type of integrated computer system, so that we connect the institutions together. So like you're talking about, it can be done if one can see it on a computer, right? But paper-based, you come to my office, it will take a lot of time, a lot of development project will store in the process. Because not everybody is violating. Some people want to follow. But if the bottleneck is too long, then they go on violating because they can't get answer. So to bring efficiency, it will be necessary to have some sort of computer-based approval process. So it'll be easy. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Dan, I think when you say the seriousness, you know, the act of gathering all of you here indicates the seriousness of this issue. So to say there's law to enforce it, people will challenge it, so it will not be enforced, then of course, I don't know. My information, what I'm gathering is, since after the war, 2023, there's no zoning map, but you only have the law. You stay have the law. I'm convinced that you have the law. That law has penalty in it. That when you violate it, there is the penalty based on the gravity. Is it the law that people can challenge, for which we are in this situation that they don't want to respect? Because if you have, as an entity of government, you have law that people are supposed to abide by with respect to where to construct, how to construct, and what you have to construct there. And people are violating those laws, and the result is creating this kind of situation with immorality. You know that. Who has been blamed? That government that you are representing, for which those laws were made. So if you're not enforcing the law and the government is being blamed, you say, oh, people don't want to respect the law. Then of course, I don't know what kind of law government will have to enforce that people will say they don't respect it. So it's good that you have the law. If you have the law, if the law need to be enforced, there are ways where laws have to be respected. You don't enforce law, you take you to the court for the law to be enforced. Because you're not using your own aura, you're using law.
So to say that you have laws, those laws benefit when they enforce, people don't want to respect it. Now, EPA, you just indicated that you have 2 partners. Am I correct? That you are working with. So the money that you were talking about that you can internally raise is not even what the partners are bringing in. So you got 3 ways of income. Your internal revenue that you generate, the one that government can support you with, and then the one that the partners are bringing. Is that correct?
So I can throw a light on the one the partners are bringing.
Is that correct, first?
It's correct.
You already said that the partner use it through the different.
Exactly. Exactly.
The partner that said use it.
With the champion through NGOs.
Okay. So if that is it, so why looking at this problem, looking at the problem we have now, how do we, in a coordinated way, how do you think we can contain this situation we have?
All the time you're now. How you summarize?
How do you think we can contain this problem?
So, Senator, before that, let me say that we intend, for Congo, we intend to come to the Senate to provide a revised cost of the penalty, because we think those penalties from 1958 are very minimum now with the change of time, so we need to do that. Since we got a public works, we've developed a proposal of 300,000 for enforcement. If we 300,000 US dollars for enforcement, and we will generate 1.2 million a year if we do that in time using fines.
No, let me get clear. You want 300,000 support.
We want 300,000
What's your current budget? To do what?
in support. No,
What's your current budget?
this is internally from the department, and I will discuss it
What's
internally.
your current budget?
35 million.
35 million.
Yes.
And you're looking for 300,000.
300,000 within the system. Yes, which was not captured as part of the budget.
Why did you capture it?
Okay. So, because the budget was submitted, we got less than what we had submitted.
But key on the agenda is enforcement and to ensure that you do the right thing. Why did you put down minimum amount of 300,000? We brought so many millions out of the approved. But 300,000 couldn't get it. Are you guys serious about the country?
Yeah, we are very serious about the country, Senator. And what we're indicating is that we will develop this concept, and we're hoping that, and this is not a concept that's supposed to come to you. This is an internal concept that we've developed in terms of enforcement and to be able to get some revenue, because we're also a revenue generating institution. So once that is approved,
Mr. Minister, why is asking the budget committee when they are raising money? This picture that you are presenting, we will raise 1.so million. If you give us this, did you present that picture?
well, we have presented that in
But let me
our
clarify
general
something.
landscape.
Let me clarify something, because, Mr. Chairman,
That's right.
Because we are in the problem. In the first instance, your budget ceiling was given. It's not that the legislature detail your budget line by line. It's not that the Ministry of Finance detail your budget line by line. They give you a ceiling. That Ministry of Public Works, you have 35 million or you got 20 million to spend. So if it's 35, let's take 25 from there. You got 10 million now for the general operations. Would you have the detail line by line? You made that decision. It was not the Ministry of Finance and not the legislature. You decided that out of 10 million, you want to spend 100 a year, you want to spend 200 a year, you want to spend this, and that's how you say your budget to finance. You put in a draft and send it to us, and we approve. So the question he's asking, if you really serious about zoning, why didn't you recommend that appropriation for 300 or 35 million?
Honorable Senator, I can respond to that. That appropriation is actually in our current budget. Yes, this is because, no, I just supported the minister. I'm not the minister. Because this was internally done, and approved internally. So there's a line under the budget that will support this activity. This is not something, I think it's around 350 or something. This is not something that I've been done in the past before. When we took over, we saw the challenges and the space to generate more revenue. So as a result of that, we studied our previous revenue generation stream, and then we projected based on all of the mechanism that we will apply. So based on that, we projected this budget that if we are able to implement this project, we'll be able to generate this amount in a very short period.
So now that you got that money, government from its intake is expected to get over 1.3 million from you.
We haven't gotten that money. It's just a budget. It hasn't been anything allocated yet. And we're already in 6 months.
No, it's allocated, it has to be allotted.
It hasn't been allotted. So we are already in 6 months. But however, we have already started to implement those measures to generate revenue, even in the absence of making the funding available to have the required logistics.
So please, you gotta work towards it because the time you will come for revenue hearing, we'll ask you how much you raise in that direction.
Honorable Senator, we're already in 6 months. We have not
Even if you
allocated any amount.
measure,
Yes, it's possible. It's possible.
yes.
Because if we start going to Omega and other places to make sure we find the people so that people can pay their MSP.
But let me tell you, Mr. Minister,
Yes.
let me tell you, the importance of enforcing this ruling law. If you can about, like somebody said, 100,000 person baby all over this country and over this city, Monrovia and Faro, and you even charging $10 just for penny, $10. 100,000 people you charge $10, you know that you're raising more than million in the revenue.
They don't have pay because they can commit it.
Honorable Senator,
The bureaucracy too much.
Honorable Senator, we internally have reduced all of those bureaucracy. Additionally, we have what we call a post-construction permit. So whether you've completed your project, or we come and see your project, on construction, even if you're about to move this out, we are going to calculate the square footage and you're going to pay the government revenue account. That is the law. It is within the zoning law. So we have started implementing that already.
And that is law they have taken to
The
this.
process in violation to build the one place the judge.
So no, the person have already built 10-story building, even before you go and beat them. So what we're going to do as a ministry is to see what the type of remedy we can put into place so that building will not have more negative impact on the environment. But we're going to be able to pay those fees including funds to the government revenue account.
I didn't want to follow up on this. Okay, so like you said, the law is not in isolation. Whatever fees anybody is supposed to pay to you, you work for it. There's a job that you have to do to improve the construction, to guide, to do soil investigation, all of that. So nobody just want to take money and give it after building their property. But you said something about the law, the zoning law. You said that it was not intended to be in isolation. Yeah. You didn't say that. You said it was not intended or it is not in isolation. It should have been accompanied by a zoning map.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and I don't know how long you've been here, but you said people don't have that zoning map. There's no trace of the zoning map.
There's no trace on the zoning map anywhere.
How long did you people discover that? How long has it been?
I have a professional background in urban planning. So since the war, all of the institutions responsible for planning cities, administration of land and property rights, there is no trace of that zoning map anywhere. I've been at the ministry for over 9 years.
Was it ever developed?
Yes, it was developed. If you read the zoning law, it just in the first paragraph, you know that the map was developed along with the zoning law.
But you have the law, you don't have the map.
Yes. So
But
they
they
also,
But they have an idea.
That's what they
Or
call
something,
something.
other map.
Yes.
They have an idea.
if you have a discipline that you definitely have an idea of how the map looks. So, for example, Singa was laid out to be a residential area. If you come to Central Monrovia, you'll see both mixed use. residential and commercial and some small light industries. If you go across the bridge, you'll see that we have some heavy industry.
Also, I want to say that, so how long have you been at the ministry?
9 years now.
9 years.
Yes.
So, you realize that there was no zoning map. What has been the actual ministry for the 9 years you've been there?
So for the past 9 years, the ministry have been making effort to make sure that. So we've been making effort. This is our effort in terms that we can achieve by ourselves.
So, Senator, we're recruiting a consultant now. We're recruiting a consultant now, and we'll have all of this settled. We'll revise the zoning law with the change of time. We'll also have a map, and we're also going to be presenting to you a revision in the costs. Let's say if you build a residential building, we're not charging 25 cents per square foot. We want to be able to increase it, okay, 5 cents. And if we right now, commercial building and industrial building got the same rates. And we are the lowest in the region. If you're doing a warehouse, you're doing industrial building, we are the lowest in the region. How much you charge per square foot? So this law,
not just to charge your performance service.
Yeah. But besides that,
we're performing.
It's the same thing that experience we had. At some point in time, people like to compare our country with other countries in the region. We don't have the same economy. We don't have the same level of capacity. If we're charging people, maybe for zoning, $1,000 in Ghana, in Accra, you cannot charge us here in Monrovia. The two cities, the economies are not the same.
That's why. Senator. That's why.
No, and we have the same problem with the real estate. That we kept increasing it up to $2, comparing our country with other countries, and it's difficult for people to pay. So I just thought to highlight that.
That's a good question.
That's
At that, the executive director. Oh, yeah. According to you, you said the task force that you people created have been transferred to the disaster and unit, right?
I think it was the foreign worker said that.
I said that?
Yeah, not the EPA.
Oh, okay. I just want to know the performances of the disaster unit towards the public work.
Well, Senator, we a couple of weeks ago, because of the huge number of flooding around Montserrado and other counties, we activated a task force, and we invited the National Disaster Management Agency, and they told us by legislative arrangement, they are responsible to be able to chair any task force related to disaster. So we said, okay, well, let's have our first meeting. And gratefully enough, they attended the meeting at Public Works. And we turned over the task force to them, and they made us part of a cluster. They have activated all their clusters in terms of emergency. So we are under the cluster of no-food items to provide shelter, help in providing shelter. The other clusters are with other institutions. So we relinquished the task force thing to them, but we just wanted to be proactive. And so they said they are rightfully pleased to be able to do that. However, we develop our own response plan at the Ministry of Public Works. That's what we do.
So that I'm still in Babu County. You said the EPA officers there, and you are going to find the miners are there, the mining issue. So if you find them and they pay, after that, they go on and do the same thing, what will be your punishment?
Thank you, Honorable Senator. So I think this week, Thursday, we are making a major press statement. And it will include closing some companies down that don't have any form of environmental permit operating outside of the law. and then it comes with certain amount of money they need to pay before they can be permitted if they will go back to operate. There are some with permits, but they're violating the term of their permit. We also will find those. Again, we are now happy that the LRA will go to collect the money on behalf of government. The government will find it, the money is collected, it goes into government revenue. We will bring them to compliance. If I always find you also that is still operating, I think there where the law will take a course as to court action or at some point contacting somebody like this senator and saying we're doing this, the problem we face with to also get advice on it because that's your county of authority. So we use different sort of methodology, but not just that. Now that I think what we're getting here today is the blessing of the Senate to go ahead all in to enforce. And so we're going to go all in to enforce. And so that next year when we sit here, we're asking this body to give us money. You will say, this is how much you raised. We can trust you and give you this. So we'll go all in to enforce.
Again, another question about the bail posts you spoke on in the police academic area. Doing the bail posts, you think that will be sufficient to educate the people?
We think that's part of it, part of the enforcement, because some of them are acting ignorantly. They don't know what they're doing. So when there's a clearly marked billboard say don't do this, that might serve as deterrence. In addition to that, we are having conversation with LBS so that we can have environmental education program weekly on LBS so that we can on our education to educate the public about the environmental laws of Liberia. So we're going to be using different set of tools to try to change people's behavior for the good.
Well, I think one of the major tools that you're supposed to use is to go to them and interact with them. Because being on the media is not everybody that will be listening to the media. Not everybody that will read the billboards. But at least when you go to them, you interact with them will be the best. Because although the law says ignorant to it is not an excuse, but we're ignorant to it because some of them are not educated. And some of them don't listen to the media. Early in the morning, they leave. I believe most of the people out there, they are business people, they are illiterate. So you have to go to them and interact with them. That's my advice to you.
I agree. Honestly, I agree. We increase that. We have awareness officers at the EPA. We also have environmental inspectors. So the know that going into the communities, carrying a lot of awareness, holding community meetings, talking to people, trying to establish community environmental clubs. We have established one at Sophie already. So community members start to take their own environmental issue, playing it in their own hands. So we carry on some of that, but yes, we'll increase it, definitely.
Okay. And the last thing is about the bushra and the issue about the global pharmaceutical. You have to visit that area. The area is in a swampy place, but then at the end of the place, the others are suffering because of that building, and they are expanding every day and night. So that's a serious issue in Douala. I beg you as the executive director, make sure you send your task force to go and really investigate what is the problem there. Since they constructed that building, we have serious problems facing us in Douala.